Master Gardener Association has partnered with the Tarrant Regional Water District to encourage water conservation. TRWD maintains 4 area lakes and pipelines needed to provide surface water to local water treatment plants so they can clean that water to meet drinking standards for our communities. They also work with many cities in Tarrant County, such as Fort Worth, Arlington, Mansfield, and many others, to provide water conservation programs to the community. Conservation is an important water supply strategy to help meet the needs of our growing population. There are currently 2.3 million people living in Tarrant County, and this is expected to double over the next 50 years. At SaveTarrantWater.com, you can sign up for free weekly watering advice custom to your location. If you're a resident of Tarrant County, you can sign up for a free sprinkler's checkup where a licensed irrigator comes to your home, provides a comprehensive evaluation of your system, with recommendations to reduce water waste. There's also an event calendar where you can find information about future classes and workshops. So be sure and check out SaveTarrantWater.com to sign up for their free service.
My name is Sue Kelley, and this is Deutscher. We are both master gardeners who have a real interest in gardening and specifically plant material that can be used in flower arrangements. I guess where my credentials come from, I did own a florist previously for about 10 years. And I have to say that that was one of the most exciting things I've ever done. When you're in that business, you really get to know your clients. You marry them and have their babies, and when they're ill, you send them flowers, and then you sympathize with the family when some member of that family passes on. So that's really, and we were in a small town, so we really did know lots of people, and it was an opportunity to meet a lot of people too. So that was a good experience, but I have to say, it also is your whole life. When you're in that business, you really can almost plan nothing. But I really did enjoy that thoroughly. It was probably number 2 after being a master gardener. So I did, as I said, I did own a florist, and then you think, how do you learn how to do that? Well, obviously you take classes. There's lots of things on the web, on YouTube, where you can learn all the mechanics of it, and that's the part that I knew that I could do some things, but I didn't have an idea how you put those things together so they would really hold and you could send them to your customers. And experience really teaches you a lot. You learn lots of tricks from other designers, and then just by figuring out how things work the best. What we want to do today, the expectation for you should be that you will be able to bring flowers and greenery from your own gardens if you have a cutting garden, or maybe you want to start one, or other sources of flowers, and arrange them for your enjoyment. And even you can give these things as gifts, which is a very nice thing to do. There is never a time that we delivered flowers that people weren't just thrilled to death to see us. Now, how good is that? So when you take flowers, people are going to be, that's something everybody enjoys. And today, then, our presentation is, briefly, I'm going to explain the elements of the principles of design and the elements of design. These are things that you can find on the web. There's many variations of this, and what I have selected from is the Texas State Florist Association, which was what I was most familiar with. We're going to give you tips to make and to do arranging, and then we're actually going to make some arrangements. I'm going to do one. Rocky's going to copy it. So we'll see how this goes. First of all, the principle of design. When you think about the word design, it's the plan that brings order to any art form. These are guidelines that allow floral designs that look good and that are pleasing to the eye. And the elements of design are how those principles are achieved, or how they can be developed. The elements of design then are the physical characteristics of materials that's used in floral designs. And those elements, there's 4: color, form, line, and texture. Those are words I'm sure every one of you are familiar with. Even in gardening, those are things that we should be familiar with. To lots of people, color is the most important element of floral design. It's a vital part of our world. It's everywhere, and we respond to color. It makes us happy, or it can make us sad. The choice of color, really, you should choose what suits the occasion. Yellow, you think about all these flowers that you know about. It's the color of the sun. It's bright and cheerful, so it's going to bring that kind of to your mind. Blue and green are cool colors, soothing. They're more subdued and in the background. Pink is very feminine. It's uplifting. Orange and gold are warm colors. And then red is associated with love and is vibrant and exciting. And then purple, everybody knows it's a symbol of royalty, and it's a rich and dramatic color. And then form is the shape. It has a third dimension. The three basic forms that we use in design are cube, square, and triangle. And so when you look at a flower arrangement, you really can kind of tell which one this is. And this becomes instinctive as you start making it. And this is stuff you probably already know, or you can develop just by doing. A line is the next element. It represents the visual movement between 2 points. In your arrangement, maybe here and then goes down to here. It's a one-dimensional path through your design. So here, or here, or here. And then texture. We know what texture is. It's the surface quality of a flower, foliage, or your container. It includes the actual physical feeling when you touch it, as well as visual, as well as seeing it visually, then you actually can feel it. So those are the elements of design: color, form, line, and texture. Then the principles of design are balance, contrast, dominance, harmony, proportion, rhythm, and unity. That's a bunch of words, isn't it? But they all have some specific meaning. These are the tools that you use when you design an arrangement. They're guidelines. It's the ways in which we compose an arrangement, the matter of how we place things in an arrangement. Balance, obviously, we know about. It's the visual and physical stability of a flower arrangement. It must be physical and visual. And you know, when you think, how am I going to know that? Well, when correct balance is achieved, well, then your arrangement is going to look right. You can tell. If it's not balanced, it's like seeing a picture on the wall that's crooked and you want to go over there and straighten it up. You kind of feel uneasy about it. And a good rule of thumb, the height of an arrangement should at least be 1.5 or 2, 1.5 to 2 times taller than your container. Then contrast is mixing the colors and opposite colors and textures. That provides the interest in your design. Too many contrasts, though, just looks like a bunch of mess. It's busy and it becomes very confusing. And then, of course, when you know what dominance means, that's your focal point in an arrangement. Often this is where your eye is drawn to when you first see an arrangement, and it's clearly defined. Harmony, this is a harmonious relationship between components of design, can be achieved when you have carefully blended texture, shape, plant materials, and your colors. In proportion, we all know what that means. It refers to the size of the flowers in relationship to each other, the flowers in relationship to the container, and the arrangement to its surroundings. And also, we know this is scale, the scale of a design. An example of that is a tall arrangement of long stem roses is going to be really out of proportion if you've got roses to here and your vase is this tall. In a small container, it looks like it's going to fall over, and it probably would, as a matter of fact. But then the opposite end of that is short-stemmed flowers. They shouldn't be in a great big arrangement because then that looks really funny. Here you've got these little short flowers in a big tall arrangement. Another example of that is your arrangement should be in proportion to surroundings. Like a small arrangement is suitable to a coffee table, but if you had it in a big reception room, it's lost. You know, you can't even see it. A good example of that is churches, hotel lobbies. They have very large arrangements because it's in keeping with their surroundings. Then rhythm, we know what rhythm is. In flower arrangement, it brings life and the illusion of movement to a design. With a flower arrangement, the eye should be initially attracted to the overall design and then move from flower to flower. And it should flow so that it appears very natural and not stiff. And then the last one is unity. Unity in arrangement is the look and feeling that the design is one singular unit. So you don't want to have, well, where's the rest of it? This is all one thing. So again, the principles of design are balance, contrast, dominance, harmony, proportion, rhythm, and unity. So these things, I think, maybe will be available to you if you have interest, that they might send them to you. So anyway, that's the important background that you learn. And if you're in the florist business, that's one of the first things that you really have to know. Like I said, a lot of that's instinctive. You're going to figure it out, and when you make arrangements, it's just kind of comes with the territory. I'm going to give you now some basic tips for flower arranging. When you choose the flowers that you're going to use, always select ones that you like, rather than trying to figure out what would make the most interesting or the most unique arrangement. Sometimes keeping things simple makes the biggest impact. For example, if you wanted to like I said, making something that, or picking something that you'd like, rather than picking, say, a bunch of birds of paradise. That's a wonderful big tropical flower, but it's not the easiest thing to do, and that would definitely be more unique, but maybe you wouldn't really know what to do with it. You can get flowers pretty much anywhere now. Costco, Sam's, Trader Joe's, and I think I said earlier, or I was thinking earlier, that Trader Joe's has wonderful flowers, as does Costco and Sam's, and many times they are less expensive than the wholesale florist, which is maybe sometimes very difficult for florists. You can get them at the grocery store as well. And then what we really like the best is to get things out of our own garden. For example of those, and I have some behind me, Liatris, right here on the end, the purple, you may know that as gay feather. And then the yellow are Asiatic lilies. Those are ones that we definitely grow in on our own yard. The pink larkspur, right now larkspur is just beginning to bloom, or mine is, and that's a great thing to pick and use. Dutch iris, they should be blooming now or soon. Daisies, and then of course I think I have one rose here, and your roses may be ready to bloom. I have this one. You see what I've done? I've tied it up with a piece of floral tape. A colored rose is going to open much faster than a red rose. Red is a colored rose also, but these other colors other than red are they just open quickly, which is a great thing when you're making arrangements, because sometimes you want them to be bigger. But anyway, I've tied it up to hold the petals together till we get ready to use it. That's a good way to keep it tight. And a way to tell if a rose is fresh, you always want to have fresh flowers, is you can feel it here. And if it feels soft, that's not really a very fresh rose, because this is really, it's solid, so it's going to last. And flowers should last 5 to 7 days in an arrangement if they're done properly. Not that every time I've done it they've done that, but you hope that they will, and the expectation is that they will. These other flowers are, this is lemon leaf, and this is something that it's at the wholesale florist. This is not something we would have in our garden. One of the things that's wonderful greenery in your own garden is pittosporum, if anybody has any left from the freeze. Variegated pittosporum is even better. Those are just wonderful because of the variation of the color. And then we have here, this is leatherleaf fern. There's lots of things in your own yard that you can use for greenery. Holly, anything, the hollies, Elaeagnus, I'm trying to think things I've used. And of course the pittosporum are things that you can just go in your yard and cut for your greenery. Then I have the baby's breath, and this is waxflower. These obviously are two things that I got from the wholesaler. And this is honeysuckle, and we'll show you later how this was cut several days ago, and this branch is, well, it was out of water, but the rest of them, see, that's going to be great in an arrangement. And the other thing, the white, is mini carnations. Those are really nice things to use.
Ivies.
And ivies are great, English ivy especially. Well, pothos not so much, but English ivy or the variegated English ivy are really good, and it definitely is something in a vase that's nice that can hold, that could flow over, much like the spiller in a container arrangement. So, okay, we purchased our flowers. Now we wanted, what are we going to use them for? You could use them for just pretty much anything that, as I said, it's going to bring a smile to the person that receives it. It's wonderful for, flowers are wonderful for weddings, for baby gifts, for get well, birthdays, any of those things. As I said, people are just going to be so glad to see you with flowers that you're going to pass along. when you figure out what you're going to do with them, you need to be careful about how you place them. For example, on a dining table, you don't want some big thing that you can't see across the table. You want it to be low, and it needs to be all around, not just one-sided. Often we make things just one-sided because that's how we're going to use it. You don't want your arrangements to be, when they're delivered and your recipient gets the flowers, they don't need to be in direct sunlight or drafty or really too dark, because they're going to fade quickly. And obviously you don't want to put anything on a hot surface or electrical appliances, because all that, you're just really steaming it up and it'll cook them. You want to distribute the colors throughout the arrangement. And I talked about color a while ago. The size of the flowers, you can use small and large blossoms together. There you go again, different shapes, different textures, and then also different stages of development. Fully opened flowers versus the buds. This is a good example of these Dutch iris. Here's a fully opened one, and here's a bud, and those will look great together. That makes a very nice arrangement. We also use some filler. You don't have to, but that's something you could. And I did bring, I said, the wax flower and the baby's breath. There's a good filler flowers. Greenery can be a filler flower. They also stabilize an arrangement as well. The most important thing, or one of the most important things, is to be sure and hydrate your flowers properly. When you outside picking flowers, take a bucket with a large container with water. Put those flowers in that immediately when they have been cut. When you're making an arrangement, these packets that you get with flowers that you purchase in the grocery store or Sam's or Costco, use these. They're wonderful things. You can also use aspirin, sugar water. They'll make your flowers last longer. Okay.
And then this is a container that we use to force bulbs, and we fill it with marbles or stones, water, and some vodka in it, and you put your bulb in it, and that will force it.
And Rocky also mentioned that she's used a penny in a vase of tulips, and it makes them stand up as well. Same thing as the vodka for the bulbs. The materials that you need are obviously a container. Anything you've got that holds water you can use. You just need to think about what you're going to do with it. Any great big wide container is going to require many more flowers. Like this, but this is a wonderful thing. If you had 2 dozen roses, boy, this is great. And we have marbles in here that we can use. We're going to do this one later. A cube is a great container for flowers, and this is something that you make it very low.
We're going to show you this.
Yeah, we'll actually make something in this one.
And then simple, what you have in your home. This is a beer stein. And this is a mason jar. They're casual if you're having an outside event. One time I had a picnic table put together, and I put these beer steins down the picnic table with wildflowers in it. So it just depends on the environment where you want to have it, the type of container you would use.
This vase right there. This one, yeah.
There we go.
This urn vase is something you typically see often, and sometimes they definitely can be larger, but this we'll make an arrangement of this as well. And then here is your bud vase. We're going to make something in this. This particular vase comes in a little bit larger size, and it's called a bunch vase because you could get more flowers in it. Really, you can use this for just one stem of something, which that's very nice as well. And then you can make, these are all with water or with the marbles, and we have some other things we'll show you. This is with floral foam, and I've already cut this. The big thing about floral foam is you need to have this well hydrated, so you just soak this. I went ahead and soaked it and then put it in this basket, and then we have it in this really small basket. Yeah, these are really great for flower girls. You know, they paint them white and they do all kind of things now. I didn't have anything. Now this is in a plastic container, and then this is, I have put just aluminum foil in here so it'll catch the water. This container would be something that you would use to make a table arrangement, because it's definitely very horizontal, low, and this has floral foam in it as well. When I make this one, I'll tape this to this container. I'll tape the foam. Okay, now we have some things. Now this is from another age almost. Some of these were my mother's. Rocky had some too. These are frogs. And this is what they used to use. And I don't have a pin cushion one, but you all have seen those metal ones that look like a bunch of pins stuck in it. Those are really good, actually. These are harder to use, I think. And here's another. This is a little more unusual one. This is for really big, really large arrangements, and can be tall things. Okay, when you begin to arrange flowers, then you want to, if possible, arrange them on your eye level. It's more difficult to do it. It certainly can be done, but it's more difficult to do it here because you're going to end up maybe bending over, and your back's going to get tired. So your cabinet at home is perfect, or a island is probably going to be the exactly right height for you. The first thing is you want to remove thorns and any excess leaves. You don't want any leaves to be beneath the water line, because they're going to mold and then cause bacteria, and your flowers aren't going to last as long. Cut your stems at a 45-degree angle and cut them every couple of days or so. And the reason for that is they will not be sitting flat on the bottom of your vase, and they'll be able to then take up water. When making an arrangement, you want to begin with greenery. Place the larger, taller stems in the center or the back. Create your focal point. Usually use a larger flower that's right at the base of the lip of your container. Then you fill in your filler flowers and foliage. You can use really non-traditional items like seed pods, branches. A really nice thing to use in the spring are peach tree branches, forsythia branches. Any of those things you have, pears, plums, any of them, if you want to sacrifice that for your fruit. But they're very nice in an arrangement. You can make arrangements in your hand and then just drop them in your vase. That's a nice thing to do as well. And you want to do that sometimes when you're making more of a presentation bouquet. If you're going to make an arrangement and put it in paper and hand it or deliver it, that's a good way to do that as well. You can use wire, tape, rubber bands, anything in that order to tie your stems together, especially your tall stems. And as I think I mentioned this before, a good rule of thumb is 1.5 to 2 times the height flowers over your vase. So now we're going to make some arrangements. The first one we're going to make is a bud vase. So I'm going to take my arrangement, my container, and I have water in it. I get my clippers. They're loud. Okay, I've got a bunch of greenery. This is how it comes from the wholesaler, that's tied with rubber bands. You can just take it off like that, or you can just cut it if you've got good scissors or good shears. When the first class that I took, the instructor told us to take the leather leaf, go soak it, because there's quite a bit of debris on these leaves, because these are just cut from probably in Florida. And that's really true, but if you're in a hurry, you don't really have time to do that. So I always did this. You get your hands really dirty. But then I look at my my container. Well, and some of this you're just kind of eyeballing. I'm going to use this material that I've cut off. I'm going to use this in another arrangement I'll show you.
Let me know how you crisscross it to make it stable.
See, and I've got this see, that's going to stabilize the flower that I put in here. Everybody see that? Also in the florist, there's a spray that makes this shiny. And you could certainly use that. You can buy that at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, any of those kind of places. I don't think it does one thing as far as affecting your flowers. It doesn't make them last longer. It doesn't make them where they won't last long. Now I'm going to use this rose that I purchased this yesterday. It has absolutely nothing on it. So to make this about the right height, let's see, I'm going to put it in here, and you can see that's really pretty tall. The other thing I want to show you can do, I need a piece of wire. That box. Or there's one. Okay. Okay. Wire sometimes can be your best friend. The gauge that I like was 22 gauge, and you can buy this. If you're buying this at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, it's on a paddle, the little thing, and they're wrapped around. But you can, spread them out. But you can. The reason I'm doing this is this has got obviously a serious bend. And I'm going to turn this up, or I could have cut it off. I'm going to cut it at the 45-degree angle. Now I'm going to use a filler. I think I'll put in some of this lemon leaf. This is another example of the.
You want the scissors for that?
Yeah, another example of the rubber band. I probably should be turned a different way.
You want to turn it around?
I mean, I should be making it over, they should be filming over my shoulder. Now I'm going to get some filler. This is the very traditional baby's breath. This is called New Love. This is a variety. And people do grow this in their yard. See, I've got a pretty nice base here. Okay, I'm going to take off this where it really can open. I'm cutting that off. Okay, there you go. See, that was easy. Everybody can do that. I made it like a little grid with 3 pieces of the leather leaf, then added a couple of this. Truly, this is a different texture. And it's just, I think it makes it a little more interesting. And then just the one stem. Okay, Rocky's going to make one. And we're going to use a lily in this one. Okay, I'm saving this for something else. Okay, I cut those two, yeah. You want the greenery to come down to here. So, yeah.
I have to do it like that.
Okay, that's all right. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. And before it's over with, you can eyeball it.
There we go.
Okay, there you go.
And okay, so we're going to take these off, and what I do, I cheat. I take this out and I measure it.
Okay, there you go. I've seen designers with roses, a dozen roses, and they'll take them, get one like they want it, and then cut all 12 at the same time on the big cutter that they have in florist. And if you wanted things to be like that, that's an easy thing to do. I'll show you another thing about greenery in a minute.
What do you think?
I think that's good.
That's the cheater's way. That's the professional way.
No. That's another thing. There really any right or wrong. It's what looks good.
And if you see how these are crisscrossed, that's what is giving you, similar to what those frogs we showed you, that kind of, and then these we're going to save.
And then get you a lily. Just pull the whole stem out.
I'm wondering if I should pull one that's a bud.
You could. They should have more than one bloom on them. There you go. Oh, that's perfect.
So
okay,
we want to cut this greenery
remove
off.
that, yeah. In fact, you can pull it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there you go. Oh, well, that just makes it easier,
I thought
quicker.
I was going to do it the right way.
Yep.
Everybody.
Okay,
And
then
then we want it to be
down, 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 down. You want this is going to be your focal point about right in here.
in there. In there?
Right there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, it could be where you want it to be. That's what I would do. I don't, and what do I know?
You know everything. Okay, so then we will put the, I see it there.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And then,
Yeah, turn it so this will be here in the front, this bud, this blossom. There you go.
there we go.
And you want to put any of this in there to make it, or you could put more of this. We got lots.
Yeah, let's put some more of that.
Okay.
That looks like it's the right size.
Okay, there you go. Put some right in there. You can leave that one. Yeah, put more. You got room.
Yeah, but I want to use some other stuff too.
Okay.
And here?
Right, I put it in the front. And that makes it'll make it more stable.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Okay, so then I don't want to use the baby's breath. I want to use this.
Okay.
What do you think?
That's great. That's wax flower. And while she's doing that, I need to not jerk it away from her and make it.
No, go ahead.
While she's doing that, I'm going to tell you about the pollen that are in lilies. Our experience was that we took all the pollen out because if it gets on your clothes, you're in trouble. A trick about any pollen, any flowers, if it gets on you, take tape, just Scotch tape, any kind of tape, and you can pull that off your clothes, and also lay it in the sunshine. That will also it will bleach it out. But if you rub it and rub it in, it's there to stay. So you could do like a whole branch. You can do what you want to do, but you could. If I leave, but I'm going to tell you how.
Okay.
But that's good. You're taking all that excess stuff off the bottom. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, I kind of cut it.
We have not practiced this, so this is good. See how easy this is?
Any dummy can do it. You think that's too long?
Don't know. Probably. Yeah, a little bit. The other thing about filler flowers, baby's breath, wax flower, solidago, whatever you're using, you need to think about your flowers like floating on a cloud, so they want to stand up above. That's really good. You want to turn that around, or
I want to put some.
This didn't make it to the water. That happens too. Is that you think it's in there and it isn't.
Well, I'll be darned. Did it go in?
I think now it did. Yeah.
I'm kind of push it that way. And I want to put one right over here. What do you
Okay,
think?
you bet.
So I cannot talk and do things at the same time. Sue can.
I'm holding my hands together so I won't put them on you.
Go ahead.
No, I'm teasing.
This doesn't look as good as Sue's.
No, it's great.
It's a little more casual looking, I think. What do
There you
think
go.
of
That's
that?
good. Okay, yeah, put it down so where they can. Another thing that we could add, if we had a mind to, is a bow. We can always add a bow. I don't know if that's. I don't have a clue if that's popular right now, but there for a while, we did put bows in lots
And
of things.
raffia is another thing.
Yeah, we
people
could put
use.
raffia around the.
But see how Sue's is more formal and this is more casual?
Those are really. You did a good job.
Well,
Okay. Okay, one other thing that we could do with flowers, in the cylinder vase, I've just taken one tulip. I did put a wire in it so I could bend the stem, but then just put it in your container. And isn't that pretty? Another thing that does very well in here that's really pretty is like a stem of dendrobium orchids. And see how simple that is? Just a little bit of water in the bottom of the vase. Okay.
And then this container, we just took flowers from the garden, pansies, primrose, honeysuckle, and floated them in the water. And what a pretty little centerpiece that is. You have a couple of these on a dining room table, that's perfect.
And especially if something breaks off, you know, you don't just want to throw it away. So there you go. It's a very nice use of that.
And you could use any kind of flower. It doesn't have to just be pansies. I mean, if
Right.
you have a rose that's broken
Yeah,
off.
yeah. Okay, I'm going to make a vase arrangement now. I'm going to use the leather leaf. And the reason I'm cutting this off is because these are pretty, I don't want it to stick up that high. And this is one where you can really, it doesn't have to go at the bottom. You can float it, see, just so it gets in water.
Can I see that? Can you see how it's just right below the water line?
This is definitely going to be making a grid. I'm going to do Rocky's trick here.
That's the lazy way to do it.
Need to be a little bit shorter even. Okay, now I'm going to make the arrangement. We talked about line. I'm going to use a line flower, a couple of little liatris. I'm hooked up to a thing and I can't go get them. Yeah, the tall liatris. Okay, many of you will have grown liatris in your garden. This is also gay feather. It's a wildflower. See, these are growing in fields. I always like to use a combination of 3 or 5. See, I'm bending over. I'm noticing that. Okay, here's this pollen I was talking about. You can gently open flowers also. This is before it's really open, so it's not fuzzy yet. This is going to be my focal point. This. Okay, let me have one more. And a bud one, a tight one. I'm going to add this. This is a good line flower also, larkspur, but I'm going to cut it.
It's purple.
I'm trying to use a different color. Ordinarily, these wouldn't be this tight. We would have these in a bucket that's where they weren't so dense. This is one stem. And see how many blossoms are on here? And they're all different kind of shapes, but this is almost a spiller one. Now that you've made your vase arrangement, you can step back and think, okay, that's okay, or maybe I need to add something else. You really do turn around and then come back and look at it and see if you're pleased or not, if it needs something else. But here you are. This is another one we could tie a bow just around the mouth of it, or you could even put it here. And I will make some bows in a minute, and we'll see what we think. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna put this over here.
Or making an arrangement in these baskets. It has the wet floral foam in it, and we're using these cut-off pieces that we had taken off on those other arrangements to cover the floral foam. And you call this greening the arrangement, the container. And you can make this as much as you want.
And you know, when you're doing this, the perfect way to do it is to keep your mouth like this. I find myself with my mouth wide open.
You can buy, obviously, you can buy baskets pretty much anywhere, and the floral foam too can be purchased at any of the craft stores. Okay, I finished mine. While Rocky's finishing hers, I was going to show you a trick. Here it is. If you have a stem that you think, oh, I really wanted that to be taller. This works great with daisies. I cut this off earlier, cut that stem off. Here's this little flower, and you can put it in there, and it's going to take up water. So that's another trick a designer taught me, but it really works well. Since this is a roundy moundy, I'm going to go ahead and cut these off. Floral foam is really forgiving too. You can punch these.
Kind of turn it around when you're doing it to make sure you've got all the areas filled. Okay, so what did you want me to use?
Use the mini cards.
Okay.
I'm going to make a bow for mine. Bows sometimes are hard, and this is one of those things that you just have to do again and again and again. But essentially, you make a loop, squeeze it together, turn it. Okay, I'm using wire to finish my bow. I might have chosen yellow rather than this, but this happened to be what I had. Okay, see, that's a nice little cherry arrangement. I'm going to make a table arrangement out of this container. These are also containers you can get at the craft stores, and again, it has this foam in it that has already been filled with water or soaked.
And when you soak these, you just fill up the sink with water and leave it in it for a few minutes, and it just sucks it right up.
I'm going to tape this to the container so the floral foam isn't going to jump out when it has a bunch of flowers in it. You could even take it all the way around if you were a mind to. This is really, I call this strap-in tape, which has nothing to do with anything, but that's just what I called it. Okay, now I'm going to green this. This is for a table arrangement. I'm going to turn it around so I do the very same thing. And this side, you want to be sure and cover up your foam. And remember, this is what I call greening the container. There's really no particular rhyme or reason to this, except to just be sure you cover. I do them kind of slanted, cover up your foam. Remember, this needs to be on all sides. Remember, Rocky was cutting off that piece of stem that didn't have anything on it, which didn't bother me a lick. I remember when I first started with the floral tape, I asked making corsages, which she was showing me you just pull it and it can rip apart. And I said, is it okay to cut it with scissors? And I laughed later because I thought, who has time to get scissors? Nobody. This is one of those, we should do a test to see if this makes the flowers last longer or it lessens the time that they stay fresh. Okay, this is something I cut out of the yard. And I liked this because it was kind of long and drapey. Here's a good example of leaves that have been left underwater. And that really would let bacteria into your arrangement. Okay, I would really like to use the iris, but they're also a very large flower, so I think I'm going to get something that's a little, and maybe I'll just use wax flower. Remember your filler, you kind of want your flowers to, you don't want it to be the focal. Your flowers to kind of float on top of it. Okay, put it right in here.
I put one of those glass frogs in the bottom of this to hold some of these stems. Typically, I would use roses for this, but we don't have any roses.
You want to put some greenery around it?
So no, I just use
Okay.
the flower, nothing else. It's very simple, and works. And because these holes are big, I'm putting several stems in one hole. Let's see if I can get it in there. Come on, guy. Well, I guess if I put them all the same size, it would work. And so you want it just at the top of your container. And so, now that we know that's the size, the easy way to do this is to cut these all at the same size. Where did that come from? Oh, tall boy got in there. So we're going to cut these all same size. And what I'm going to do is take one of these big things. And as I said, I typically do this with roses, and you've seen them in displays with roses. And we're going to cut all the greenery off the stems. Remember what Sue said about it rotting below the water line. So these are all
Many carnations and carnations have long lives, so this arrangement should last, several weeks, which you will thoroughly enjoy.
But using this frog, especially with these, because they're so, the stems are so thin, it really helps to keep them stabilized. If you had roses that had a thicker stem, then you wouldn't have to worry about using the frog. But it's kind of nice to have it. And this makes a nice little centerpiece, or just a little, on a side table in your living room. This looks all mounded up like that.
Carnations really smell good too. They're very fragrant.
This is what you add the music to, I think. And you're good at that, so.
So, and again, you don't want any of the green in the water. Just a couple more over here, and then that's it.
A trick about carnations, if you have some that are really, really tight, this is another trick I learned. Pull this one off. If you wet your hands, so my hands are wet, do this, and you can also, it'll open them.
How cool is that?
And it works. Many times at the florist, and this will happen at home too. If you have gladiolas, for example, that you want to, that was good. If you want to use in an arrangement and they're just really tight, you can cover it with a black bag. First of all, break off the very top blossom or the very tip of the gladiola. Put a black garbage bag over it. Put it in the sun. And they'll pop.
They'll pop. So isn't that cute little?
That is. That's very nice.
You don't need any skill level. That's the part I like.
Anyway, we've enjoyed making these arrangements for you, and hopefully these are some tips that you can use. Be sure to use your own flowers that you have in your own garden, because that you will enjoy that so much, knowing that you've grown them and now you've arranged them. Anyway, thank you. Any questions? I think probably you could maybe use chat or contact somebody at a website.
And remember, you can use any container, mason jars, beer glasses, anything that you have is a good container for your flowers.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.